Hi everyone, in this episode of Wine Terroir, we're going to be talking about one of the hottest winemakers in Italy, Arianna Occhipinti, and she's an amazing winemaker. Stay tuned. A year and a half ago, I had the opportunity to spend a couple weeks in Sicily, and one of the wines that I fell in love with were the wines of Arianna Occhipinti. She is an amazing winemaker that has taken a very natural winemaking approach in an area of Italy that has been known for a lot of bulk wine. She grew up in the wine industry because her uncle was one of the founding members of COS, COS winery in Vittoria, which is the very south, central south part on the coast of Sicily. She decided that she fell in love with the wine industry and decided to make it her life. She acquired some vineyards. Some of them are old vines from 60-year-olds and some are not. Some things are things that she's planted. But today we're going to taste two of her, I guess you would call it flagship wines, things that, like the wines that she's known for. They're called SP68, and the name is actually named after the highway that runs near Vittoria, near where she lives. And you can see it on the bottle. So when you're traveling around Sicily, you'll see various SPs relating to different highways. She does biodynamic farming. I think we're just starting to use science to understand the actual benefits of biodynamic farming. So in Sicily, a lot of the old vines are grown in a bush vine, which is locally called albarello, and they have fairly deep roots and fairly chalky soils there. One of the most interesting wines that she makes is IGT Siciliano Terriano, which is Bianco. So that's basically an IGT, a generic labeling for Sicily, and these wines are 60% Zabibo, which is the local name for Muscat of Alexandria or Muscat de Alexandria. And I think Zabibo is a much cooler name, and we should petition to have that changed permanently. And the other 40% is Albanello, which is another local grape variety that was typically used in Marsala production. So first thing you're gonna notice is that color. That color is crazy. So again, biodynamically farmed, hand harvested, no fertilizers or pesticides. These wines are harvested, destemmed, and no punch downs, aged on the skins for about 2 weeks. And then they're aged in concrete tanks for about 8 months, I believe. And no new oak is used at all, or yolk for that matter. So in terms of color, I would call this a deep amber. I mean, this is almost orange wine for all intents and purposes. So it's called amber. Extremely aromatic. I'd call this pronounced intensity on the nose. It is jumping out of the glass. I'm getting things like, this reminds me a lot of like an absinthe. There are notes of cinnamon, licorice, anise, also kind of like an orange marmalade, orange zest. Like dried apricot, a lot of really interesting cooked down dried fruits. All right, let's give it a taste. All right, so the wine is dry. Call it medium acidity. There's actually a touch of tannin, like this kind of like dusty texture that you get on the wine. I would call them light to low call them low tannins, just due to the skin contact. Medium minus, low alcohol. I think it's 12%. Yeah, 12%. Let's call it low alcohol. Let's call it medium minus alcohol. Body. It's actually a little thinner than you would think. It smells like it's going to be more unctuous and powerful and dominant, but it's actually a little leaner. I call it medium body. The wine, medium plus intensity on the palate. Again, I'm getting almost like cinnamon, licorice, anise, orange peel, dried apricot, Some other things, apple skin, really, kind of a really interesting texture to the wine. There's no oak, but there's some kind of like I trying to place this other aroma or this other flavor that's in the wine, and I can't quite do it, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Yeah, finish. Oh, it's like a tea. It's like a oolong tea, kind of like lingering texture on the palate that like someone's put like sun tea and they've soaked a bunch of Lipton bags and left it out in the sun and it's kind of cooked. And you get this kind of really interesting texture on the wine. I think that this is, the finish is medium plus length. I'm definitely getting it. It's definitely dry and, that kind of like tea and orange zest is going on for me. I'd give this, 89 points. It's not rocking my world, but it's very good. It's something that is for a $22 price point, I think is an amazing example of what someone can do with the right grapes and the right vineyard approach to making really balanced and interesting wines in Sicily. Great wine, or very good wine. All right, up next we're going to be tasting her red wine, which is one of her flagship wines, the Occhipinti SP68 Terra Sicilia IGT 2015. This is around $25. This is a combination of Neradivolo and Frappato. Neradivolo can give you that kind of spicy and white pepper notes, and Frappato can give you a lot of like floral and really interesting aromatics. This is essentially a Vittoria de Ceresola wine, which is the only DOCG in Sicily. There's a lot of DOCs, but not DOCGs. She basically doesn't care about that system. She doesn't try to make her wines DOCG. She just basically makes the wine that she thinks is right. A lot of times the appellation laws in Europe have specific aging requirements, and she decides that she wants to have organic biodynamic farming, aged in concrete, and not have to have a certain amount of bottle age, and wants a certain amount of freshness in her wines. This wine is 70% Frappato and 30% Neradivolo. Okay. Color, we're going to call that medium ruby. I can still see through it. I call it medium plus intensity on the nose. For me, there is, even though the fruit is largely destemmed, I'm still getting this kind of like inky, almost savory, like I'm thinking like salami, like salty meat aroma, as well as kind of a chocolate covered cherry. But that kind of like dark, inky tree bark, cranberry as well. Okay, let's jump into this wine. The wine is dry, medium plus acidity, really good acidity on this wine. Medium minus round resolved tannins. These tannins are not super extreme. I mean, all the wine sits on the grape skins for about 2 weeks. You definitely feel the tannins, but it's not something that's super extracted and super structured. It's almost more floral. I think she uses about 4%, a whole cluster, which is pretty minor, so you shouldn't get it. In terms of alcohol, this is a medium alcohol. This is super balanced for me, and for the body, it's medium body as well. In terms of intensity on the palate, I would say pronounced. There's a lot of things going on. Sour fruit, sour cherry, a little bit of cranberry, even a little bit of red currant, but then I'm getting that kind of touch of like mocha dark chocolate. maybe a touch of dark cherry, and then some savory notes. That's kind of like salted meat, kind of like salami notes. And a little bit of peppery, like black pepper. And then on the finish is actually shorter than the white wine. I'd call this a medium minus finished. It ends in this it's a little short, and something I get from a lot of natural winemakers. It just kind of like drops off and doesn't keep going. But it's good. I mean, it's definitely a point lower for me. I'd go 87 points on this. It's a great wine, but it's a good wine, but not a great wine. I think that some of her higher end cuvées are actually really elevated and things that I've been blown away by. And these wines are good, especially for the price. So definitely check her out. One of the hot names in Italy at the moment. Arianna Occhipinti makes great wine. Check out her largest production of the SP68 series. It is kind of her telltale wine. And then you can, if you like those, explore her higher end cuvées. They are really interesting to taste. Thank you for watching. If you like this episode, please hit the like button. And if you really like it, please subscribe. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for more information where we post almost daily. Thanks a lot. Cheers.